This is Shanna Ray.
And Nicole Bacigalupi.
And you're with Wine Biz Radio.
With Randy, Kaz, and X.
Yeah, now you know where that giggle comes from that little clip.
It was from you.
No, it wasn't.
This Kaz, Randy, and...
Nobody giggles like you.
Oh, that's true. This is Kaz, Randy, and X here on WineBizRadio.com. And we're here with Tom Wark and just shooting the breeze, trying to figure out about advertising, PR-y kind of stuff in the eyes of probably the best PR dude in this neck of the woods.
The best PR dude we know.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I'm coming back.
He's coming back, see? And he has come back for...
He's been a regular for a long time.
5 years he's been coming back.
Do we want to transition into
we do.
the politicking?
We need to talk politics
let's
now.
talk about... it is... last year it was a different bill number. Now it's HR 1161. Is that the...
Yes, we're talking about the CARE Act.
The CARE Act is back.
Go back to the first one.
So remind our listeners and viewers about what this is.
Last year, in 2010, American beer and wine wholesalers were arranged to have introduced into Congress in Washington a bill that would have essentially stripped wineries and retailers of their Commerce Clause protections against state-based discrimination. In other words, if that bill had passed last year, states could have passed laws that say, hey, our wineries can ship to our residents, but you guys can't, essentially overturning the 2005 Supreme Court decision Granholm v. Heald. That went over like a lead ball because, believe it or not, wineries and retailers didn't want to have that right taken away from them.
Sure.
The bill failed last year. Yet it arrived again this year and has a new bill number this year because
it's a new session of Congress. So
exactly.
But was it voted on?
It was not voted.
It was not.
Never got to because
that's what I thought.
Because Nancy Pelosi at the time, the Speaker of the House at the time, Nancy Pelosi was saying she would not bring that.
She indicated that she would oppose it, and so they reintroduced it during this current session, and it became HR 1161, and it's changed somewhat. The bill now says that states may not discriminate against out-of-state producers. So out-of-state wineries cannot be discriminated against the way they could have before our 2005 Supreme Court decision. However, it does say that retailers may be discriminated against. It says that a state...
Is it literally written in that retailers?
No, but it is the
or is it only says that only producers...
It says only producers are protected against discrimination. As a result, retailers are not protected. This means that any number of different laws can be passed by states that discriminate against an out-of-state wine store, such as you guys can't ship to our people, but our wine stores can. Our wine stores have to pay this kind of a tax. You out-of-state stores, you have to pay a higher tax. Our stores here, you don't have to do anything to the packaging on the bottle. You out-of-state retailers, if you want to ship something in, you have to put a new label on the bottle. They could do any number of things, and they don't have to justify why. They simply would have the right to do it.
Well, but if I mean, it sounds good on the first the first reading of it or whatever. If you're just looking at it and skimming it, if it says that nobody can be discriminated against,
it says no producers.
No producers.
Right. On the other hand, what it would allow is this. A state could pass a law that says people who make less than 25,000 gallons a year... Producers that make less than 25,000 gallons a year may ship in. But those who make more may not ship in. Now, there's no justification for this, but it's just a way of protecting in-state wholesalers from having large out-of-state wineries shipping in.
Sure.
They could also pass laws that say... that before any winery can ship in, the person who wants the wine shipped to them, the customer, has to visit the winery. That's pretty easy if you're in Maryland. You can visit a Maryland winery. But to visit a California winery, that's going to take a few bucks. It's clearly discriminatory, yet this law would allow it. And everyone opposes it because HR 1161 is nothing more than a simple power grab on the part of wholesalers who are unwilling to work for their living.
Well, there you go. Well, actually, what I was going to say was this is part of your duties as the executive director of the Specialty Wine Retailers Association. We really didn't get to that point, but remind our listeners about what that
SWRA, Specialty Wine Retailers Association, is a national organization of retailers who are looking for a level playing field where it comes to government regulations concerning the sale and distribution of alcohol. the members of SWRA tend to be progressive retailers that want to serve a national market as well as a local market. So, people like Zacky's and K&L and Shart Lehman, these sort of large retailers that you all know are part of this organization. And they would fight against this kind of a bill. We would fight against direct shipping laws that don't include retailers. And right now, for example, there's something called a primary source bill that's in the legislature in the state of New York. And if it passes, a retailer will no longer be able to buy wine from the gray market. So what happens is this. Dom Perignon selects an importer and a wholesaler in New York. The wine comes in, the wholesaler sells it. But they might only give Joe's retail store 2 cases of Dom. And he wants more. He knows he can sell it. He can go to Europe and he can find someone who will for him import an extra 50 cases of Dom.
And that's considered gray market.
It's legal and it's considered the gray market. This law would make that illegal. Again, the wholesalers want to make sure that retailers don't get wines from anywhere except from them. But they can't fulfill the market. They don't want to fill the needs of the market. And so that sort of law is now being introduced into New York, and SWRA will help fight it because it's bad for retailers and it's bad for consumers. If this law passes in New York, the diversity of wine in that state will tumble immediately. A lot of older vintages will go down the tubes. A lot of times, whole collections from European collectors are brought into the country and then sold through retail stores, and that's how we get a lot of the older Bordeaux here. That will go down the tubes. We won't have that either. A lot of these stores in New York, roughly 30 to 50% of their volume relies on the gray market because the wholesalers can't fulfill their demand. This is going to be bad for them if it passes. So SWRA will fight that.
Okay, and I'm trying to remember the last time we talked to you. It's been months.
Mm-hmm.
But you were starting to work on a consumer organization.
That's the missing link in all this.
Yeah.
Whenever laws are considered by lawmakers, by regulators, by the trade, the people who are not consulted are consumers. They simply are not consulted on what the laws ought to be with regard to access to wine. And as a result, their interests tend to be forgotten. And what's needed is sort of an NRA for wine lovers. And so we're moving forward with the American Wine Consumer Coalition.
NRA for wine lovers.
Yeah, it'll be a national coalition of wine lovers whose political and commercial interests are represented at state and local levels. We've got our board of directors. We've got our business plan in place. The website will start to be built probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and so we're moving forward with it. I think probably by the third quarter we're going to have a new consumer-based political organization for wine lovers.
So, there's no place to go right now to look at this?
Yeah, there's a Facebook page, which is American Wine Consumer Coalition. Facebook.com/American Wine Consumer Coalition. But probably by the third quarter, we will have a website up. People will be able to join and support the organization, and we will build it into literally the NRA for wine. There will not be a consumer issue on which consumers' voices are not heard after this.
So, and I can see a bunch of the teabaggers getting on board on this one.
What's interesting is we have support from both left-wing and right-wing.
Yeah, so I would think everybody likes wine.
Well, interestingly, the conservatives...
the gun guys, if they're in it...
The conservatives don't like the idea of government suppressing a free market.
Sure.
So there's that. And then we have people like the Progressive Policy Institute, which is sort of the
other side, right.
Of the political landscape. And they understand that what wholesalers are doing, this is big business stepping on the consumer.
Sure.
And so they're in favor of free trade in wine also. What's interesting is when you read